welcome again. You're getting two today. I decided to go ahead and do the next one. I'm going to jump right into it because we talked about how important Goldfinger and all of them were, but now we're into 1965's Thunderball. Yeah. This one not quite as good as Goldfinger, but it's a very slow burner. It's very long, 2 hours and 10 minutes. It's very in the first, God, I want to say almost full hour is just setting up the story over and over. It's a lot of slow rolling, but I digress because there is one moment that completely saves it. We'll get into that. I'm also watching the UFC here on mute too, so if I get distracted, I'm sorry. This is directed by Terrence Young. He's back for the third and last time. We no longer see Terrence Young after this. He directed Dr. No and From Russia with Love. We were supposed to have Guy Hamilton. Guy Hamilton did Goldfinger, and it was so well liked by the critics, and it did such a good job in the box office that they wanted him to come back. But Guy Hamilton said he just didn't think he could do any more with it. He was, quote, creatively exhausted, which I guess is understandable considering what a masterpiece that Goldfinger was. So we have Sean Connery at the age of 35 coming back for his fourth time. This is Sean Connery again. We've got several Bond girls, including one of my favorites, Domino, played by Claudia Auger. She's amazing in this. Paula Kaplan, she's the love interest in this one. She is, or not, no, Paula Kaplan was sort of the love interest. She's just the girl in this one, kind of the sex pot. Played by, and you may, if you watch my other episodes, you may recognize this name, Martine Beswick. If you recognize that, she was in From Russia with Love. She played one of the gypsies. So she's playing a completely different character this time. We have the baddie Fiona Volpe, Luciana Paluzzi, and we have the other kind of love interest in, but a very cool love interest in Pat Fearing, played by Molly Peters, I guess. I could be wrong on that, but I think it is Molly Peters. Blofeld comes back. His body is played by Anthony Dawson again. Once again, you don't see his head. They don't want you to see Blofeld's head for some reason. And we are introduced to Emilio Largo, who is Adolfo. I can't say his last name. I think it's Celli. But this guy is the basis of Austin Powers #2 because he is #2 in this. He drives for a very short time the Aston Martin DB5 from 1963. It's the second appearance of that car. It's a little beat up in this one. And the song is Thunderball by Tom Jones. You may know him because of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. When Carlton does the Carlton, he always does it to a Tom Jones song. It's not unusual. And it's not unusual to see that. So, here we go with Thunderball. This was actually supposed to be called Mr. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. That was the original title. They even wrote a theme song called Mr. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And when they changed it to Thunderball, they actually had to hurry up and rewrite a song, and they did. Tom Jones did not write it, he just sang it. I think that the famous composer was the one writing it. So this was supposed to be Kiss Kiss Kiss. Thank goodness, because Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is a terrible name for a Bond movie. But Connery did not attend the premiere of this because of the crazy fans. Because when he did the after the premiere of Goldfinger, there were women jumping on his car, like they were, and he got stalkers. It was crazy. So he had a bunch of crazy fans. So he just thought it was in his best interest to stay away from the premiere. This is okay. Now, this was also supposed to be the very first Bond, not Dr. No. This one, Thunderball, was supposed to be the very first Bond, but they just did not have the money to make it. This movie has a budget of all three previous films combined. So all of those movies that were so great combined to make a bigger budget that usually leads up to a not so great movie. I always find that whenever you get a bigger budget, it kind of ruins the the fun. But it did happen, and this is also the first time whenever a Bond movie opens, it opens with the ban ban. You have the thing coming in, you see Bond, he turns around, and the barrel goes down. This is the first time Sean Connery was actually playing Bond in this. And from this moment on, the Bond playing Bond in the movie does the opening, which is very cool. But this one has a very meh open. You know, I love the openings. This has a very open. I'm not a big fan of it. Um, it starts with a funeral, and you actually think it's James Bond because on the thing it says JB, but it pans up to James Bond. And he's talking to someone, and he's following this woman. He just keeps following this woman, and he follows her home. And it turns out that it's a man, baby, and he's beating this woman. But it turns out it's a dude. He ends up strangling him to death, um, and flies away on his jetpack. Now, the funny thing about this jetpack is that it's an actual working jetpack. So when you see Bond or the stunt double fly off, it's actually doing it. And if you notice, Bond is wearing a helmet like that. Bond's wearing a helmet, and it's because the stunt driver who was actually he was doing the jet flying, he refused to do it without wearing a helmet. So he had to wear a helmet, therefore Bond had to wear a helmet. It's a little fun fact for you. And then we go straight into the title sequences, and it's naked women swimming, and all the credits are showing up on there. They're underwater the whole time with Tom Jones's awesome voice in the background. And there is a part at the very end of where he strikes like a thunderball. Really long thing. And he actually passed out, much like the Goldfinger, Shirley that was singing that. Much like that, he did, except he actually did pass out. And there is, I looked for it, I couldn't find it, but there are those who say that if you look hard enough, you can find the actual recording and you hear him pass out. I want to hear that, even though I love this song. This is an amazing song. I think I like Goldfinger a little better, but this is cool. Yeah, but naked ladies, ooh. And we start out, and we immediately meet the bad guy, just like in Goldfinger. We meet Goldfinger right away. In this one, we meet Emilio Largo, eye patch and all. So he comes in, and he's getting into this office. He goes into this secret room, and it's where they all are meeting. They're all having a little meeting. And it's Blofeld saying number 1, or number 2, number 3, number 4, number 9, what did you do, kind of thing. And he calls Emilio Largo number 2, and everyone is calling Blofeld number 1. So that right there sets up that Emilio Largo is Blofeld's number 1 agent. Really cool. We do have a we do have a Moneypenny sighting. Unfortunately, in this movie, Moneypenny doesn't get to be Moneypenny so much. The first time we see Moneypenny, she's getting a call from Bond after he has been in a basically a massage parlor. Because we meet someone, right? I just wanted to get to the Moneypenny part. And he calls her, and it's just like, oh, what are you doing? Hey, can you tell me what this symbol means? Yeah. And we, that's pretty much our Moneypenny for this moment. But right before that, he did meet Pat Fearing. Pat Fearing is one of the love interests, played by Molly Peters. And she sets him up for a massage, and there is an assassination attempt on Bond by massage. She has him in a massage table, and the guy turns it up on high, and Bond's being shaken like crazy, and that's a weird assassination attempt for me. There's another weird assassination attempt when he finds the guy that did it, and the guy's sitting in a steam machine, and Bond locks him in there and turns on the steam full blast. another weird one. But 18 minutes in, we meet Fiona Volpe, who is, while she is a bad guy, she is a Bond girl, and she's one of my favorites. I will explain why later. But Fiona Volpe, bad girl. She's like Largo's right hand woman, which is pretty cool. But we do have a. I'm just going over the important scenes right now because the first hour of this is really just drawn out. We get a plane crash. A handsome young man is flying the plane. They crash into the water. They sink, but they are saved. And 38 minutes in, we meet Domino. Domino's so cool, so pretty. And she's throwing her motorcycle into the river, but that's it. We don't see Domino again for a little bit. It's just she's in there driving, throws it. And the funny thing about Domino is that she actually was not the original person cast. Claudia Auger was not the first person original person wanted. They actually wanted Raquel Welch, okay, famous actor, or Faye Dunaway. Yeah. Of course, these pictures are of them at an older age. They were much younger and more beautiful, all that, but it didn't happen. But Faye Dunaway was actually looked at being cast for a lot of Bond movies. Never happened, though. We do also get a really cool thing where we're in a war room with M, and there are 9 chairs, and it's all the 00 agents. And James Bond is sitting in the 7th chair. So there are 9 00 agents. And I thought that was really cool. You don't see any of them. The only one's face you see is Bond. So there are other agents out there. He does mention that 008 would take over. So apparently it works like a ladder scheme. So James Bond isn't even the number 1 guy. He's the number 7 guy. I can't even imagine what 1 through 6 are like. Like, I guess 1 is bulletproof. Just walks in a room, just pew, 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 you know, just takes people out. You know, it has to be. Unless it's not a ladder system, and then they're just like, oh, well, you were the first person here, so you get to be number 1. Who knows? They never explain it. But it's the 9 chairs. But we're going skipping forward 45 minutes in when we meet Paula Kaplan. Paula Kaplan is the one played by Martine, which you see, she's not in the movie a whole lot. She's on a boat, like with Bond. That's about it. And Domino is on another boat, and it's a very strange moment. It's like he helps Domino. She's trapped underwater, and he helps her out, and they float to the top. And he's on a boat with Paula. And he's like, hey, our boat's not working, can you tow us in? And Paula kind of disappears, and he arrives to land with Domino. Yeah, a little weird. And then we find out that Domino's actually with number 2. He is actually with Largo himself. Because they're playing cards, and Bond's just killing him. Bond's beating the crap out of Largo in cards. I think they're playing blackjack. It's pretty cool. But we do find out that Domino's there. She kind of explains that she mentions being his niece or something like that, but she's not. She says that sounds better than his mistress, which is okay, cool. But I mean, it's a big thing because the Fiona Volpe is skeet shooting with our bad guy, with Largo, and she's mentioning that, oh, you just want to kill Bond because Bond is trying to sleep with your girl. So apparently him and Domino have a thing going on. And of course she's like, no, I want to kill Bond because he's an enemy of Spectre. Is it the real reason? Who knows? And at this point, you kind of look at something. All the henchmen, all of Largo's people are all Italian. Like, it's all Italians everywhere. And I was wondering, I was like, why is it all Italians? Does he only recruit Italians? And this one I had to look up because it was interesting. And I paused the movie, and looked it up. And it turns out that when they originally cast this movie, it had a completely different script where it wasn't Bond versus Spectre again. It was Bond versus the Mafia. So they hired all these Italians to be the mafia, and it's supposed to be Bond taking down the mafia. But instead, like at the last minute, they changed it to, no, it's not the mafia. He's going to face off a Spectre again, and Largo's just going to be the bad guy this time. And he's not really a mafia don, he's just a guy. So if you're wondering why there's so many Italians in this movie, that's why. I had to look it up, and this is why I do research, because that's interesting. I like that. And we get to see how evil Largo is, because he feeds one of his henchmen to a tank full of sharks, and they eat him. But the whole time I'm thinking, you know what would be cooler than a tank full of sharks? It would be just these right here. Sharks with laser beams attached to their head. It would have been awesome. Yeah, I did the Austin Powers thing. I'm going to, anytime I see something about Austin Powers, I'm going to link it to this. I've already been doing it every episode, because every one of these has something that Austin Powers stole. But Austin Powers is a good movie. It's a good trilogy. I like it. We're an hour in now. We're an hour into this movie, and now it starts kind of picking up speed, because we see Q out of nowhere. Q comes out, and he gives the gadgets to Bond. Gadgets. He's got a Geiger counter watch. He's got a camera that takes pictures underwater, and an infrared, which is something we can kind of already do. We can do now, not back then. He gave him a little bitty flare gun. It's like a little pew. And he gave him a breather. It's a little tube that he puts in his mouth so he can breathe underwater. And that has some funny stuff to it. The very first one uses the camera. He goes under the water to Largo's big yacht, and he's taking pictures of where the bombs are going to go. Because this one has to do with bombs again. It has to do with bombs. Oh, man. And while he's under there, though, he's in there with his little buddy, and the bad guys are just throwing grenades. They're like, oh, there he is. There, right there. You know? It's kind of funny. And they kind of get in their boats and ride around, and Bond cuts off his stuff, his mask and everything, and throws it to the corner. Oh, we must have hit him with a propeller, even though there's zero blood. All right, well, he's dead. Let's go. Honestly, that's not how it works at all. So he swims ashore, and he's picked up by Fiona. He doesn't exactly know she's a bad guy yet, and she's driving very fast, and he's kind of just freaking out, because he's, oh yeah, have you done this before? And they're staying at the same hotel, all of that, and this whole, and then we see Bond again wearing those damn shorts. They're so short, man. They're just, oh man, and Daniel Craig does it too. Don't think it's just a Sean Connery thing. This is, they're booty short. They're like boxer briefs, man. They're booty shorts for Bond, dude. Bondy shorts. Freaking me out, man. I'm not saying he doesn't look good in them. I mean, Sean Connery, he looks good. Oh, but anyway, I digress on that. He meets up with, later on he'll meet up with Largo. He's hanging out with Largo. They're trying to, Largo knows he's Bond. Bond knows he's Largo, but they're still they're being cordial. Feeling each other out, if you will. And Bond is kind of acting like he doesn't know anything about guns. He has a great line where he's like, Largo's holding Fiona's shotgun, and he's like, oh, that's a woman's gun. And he's like, oh, you know stuff about guns? No, but I know a lot about women. Okay. And they go skeet shoot. He's like, oh, it is. Largo's kind of acting like a badass. I go, yeah, pull, yeah. And Bond's like, oh, I don't know how hard this could be. Pull, tell me when to go. Pull, okay. He doesn't even look, just blows it out. Oh, it's not that hard at all. If you haven't noticed, Bond's kind of a jerk. He likes to poke at the bad guys, and that's probably not a good thing to do. So they end up actually killing Paula. Fiona kind of goes into their hotel room, and Paula tries to escape, but she's captured, and she's actually tortured to death. We don't know how she dies. We just know she's dead. So, oh well. But we do see Bond getting to use the breather. Um, what happens is he's trying to sneak through. Trying to find out their plans. He's sneaking through the compound, and one of the henchmen catches him, throws him into the pool. They make a lot of ruckus, and Mr. Largo comes out, and he flicks a switch, shutting the pool. So they're trapped in there, and he's just trapped. He's going to drown or something. That's not all. No, he opens up the gate to let the sharks in. But he uses the breather. Smart Bond picks up, wow, breather. And the thing about this breather, and this is a funny story that I found out years ago that just kind of made me giggle. The director of the movie, Terrence Young, was kind of at a premiere, and a member of the British military actually approached him and was like, that basically, yo, that breather was dope, yo. Let me tell you, they probably didn't say it like that because, that's how they speak now, and British people are much more eloquent than that. But anyway, but he was like, and he asked, how long can someone hold their breath with that? Or how long can someone use that, stay underwater using that? And Terrence Young's answer was, as long as you can hold your breath. And the guy was like, wait, no, in the movie, he's underwater for like 5 minutes. And Terrence Young's like, yeah, editing, dude, editing. So, British military didn't realize that this was a movie, apparently. Oh well. But there's another moment in here when Sean Connery Bond is swimming underwater, and so he's supposed to wait by this pipe where the sharks come out. And there is supposed to be 2 plexiglass windows where he's standing behind the plexiglass window, and the shark's coming out. The shark's swimming past, and he's just supposed to be looking at it. But the thing is they couldn't afford a lot of plexiglass, so they got one that was there was like a 4-foot gap, and one of the sharks swam over it. And there's a scene where he's about to go through the tube, and the shark swims right by him, and he's like right in front of his face. And you look at Sean Connery, and he has the breather in his mouth, but he's like, whoa. And that fear, that terror in his eyes is 100% real, because there was no plexiglass between him and that shark. Apparently the sharks were a big deal in this movie because a bunch of people almost died by getting eaten by sharks, and there's a lot of sharks in this movie. So it's a very sharky movie. I dig it. It's so cool. But when Bond gets back home, Fiona is still in his apartment, except she's taking a bath, and we get one of the greatest Bond moments in history. I love this moment so much. Fiona's taking a bath, and she's like, oh, I must be in the wrong apartment. She's supposed to be seducing Bond because she's the bad guy. And Bond is like, you must be. And she's like, well, can you at least hand me something to wear? And Bond hands her shoes. Awesome. And Fiona gets up, gets dressed, but Fiona and Bond do the naughty no-no. They get it on. Woo-wee! That Fiona Volpe is one hot piece of ace. Him and a buddy of mine, they got it on. Woo-wee! People who are not getting this reference probably think I'm the biggest sexist in the world. It's a reference from Billy Madison. Anyway, so Fiona does a no-no, but turns on Bond when Bond's trying to leave, and the bad guy's in her. And they have this big back and forth that's really cool, where it's like, he's like, I was doing this for king and country. You didn't think I enjoyed it, did you? And it kind of gets under her skin, and she's like, oh, no, of course not, because whenever Bond sleeps with a woman, she automatically becomes virtuous and decides to be a good guy. And that is a callback to the last one where he slept with Galore and she became a good guy. So, but she says, not this one. And this is what makes Fiona Volpe one of my favorite Bond girls, because she may have slept with Bond, but it was purely to distract him and to seduce him, but she doesn't fall for his charms. And I love Fiona Bolt for that because she's the strong one. I love it. But he does get to escape. He actually escapes through a weird thing where they're in the car and this drunk guy's got a bottle in the car, and he kicks the bottle and sets it on fire, and for some reason it kind of explodes. If you have never set alcohol on fire, usually it just goes no, this one went okay. But he does escape, but he gets shot in the leg on the way. Pow, shot right in the calf. But he doesn't really limp that much. He just kind of keeps running. And he ends up at a party where they're not going to kill him in front of all these people. But he ends up dancing with Fiona, and he's dancing with her, but the crowd's getting louder and louder. So they're going to make a lot of noise. They're going to pop him. And he's waiting. He sees the gun. He's waiting. And he sees him move, and he knows it's going to happen. So he turns Fiona, bam, and he covers up the bullet. Shot in the back, covers up the bullet hole automatically, bleeding through his fingers, and she's dead. And he sets the girl down, and he's she okay? She's a little dead. She's a little dead on her feet. Fantastic. But Fiona's gone. Fiona's gone. Pat disappeared. Paula's dead. Bad to be a woman around Bond. Oh well. Very cool. So let's just go ahead and skip on to the next love thing, where Bond and Domino are underwater scuba diving, and apparently they do the naughty no underwater. They meet and they float down behind a rock, and then you hear the apparently there was supposed to be a moment when you see Domino's bra top float up to the top, but Albert Broccoli, the producer, he produced a lot of these. I mean, if it doesn't say broccoli on it, then it's not exactly a Bond film. But he thought that was too vulgar, so he was like, "No, we can't do that. It's too vulgar." They get out of the water, and we found out that the handsome pilot that crashed the plane was actually Domino's brother, and Bond found his dog tags and his watch, and he's giving it to her, and he's like, "Sorry, I have to break your heart," but it's actually a very emotional moment. And she's like, "Yeah, but you know that Largo did this, your friend Largo." And she's like, "Oh, well, I'm going to get revenge. By the way, there's a henchman behind you." "Oh, really?" Bam! Shoots him with a freaking spear gun. It was really cool. He wasn't even paying attention. Oh, there's something. Bow. Cool. Love it. But thing was, she goes in and she's got to find out where the missiles are. Miss Domino has to find out where all these missiles are. He gave her a Geiger counter to look for these radiated missiles, and she gets found out. She gets captured, and he's torturing her. You don't ever see him torture her, but the screams are horrible. And at this time, Bond is trying to get into the yacht, but he can't. He has to be rescued using his flare pen. And then this is okay. So at this point, let me just say this. At this point, Thunderball is not my favorite Bond. I cannot say that it's better than Dr. No from Russia with Love. Definitely not Goldfinger. This is so far my least favorite Bond because how boring it is. That is up until this moment that I'm about to explain. You saw how excited I was in the last episode about the craziness of that car chase and the old lady with the gun and all that. This tops it. There is a full-on underwater war. Underwater. I mean, this is what it looks like. This isn't drawing, but this is what it looks like. Okay? The two opposing sides. That's what it looks like. And there's stuff like this. There's like, you can see it. And then there's this action here. This freaking just, it's so crazy. We got fisticuffs, people throwing fists. We got stabbings. We got guns. We got spear guns. Like they start out like running like this, like a freaking Lord of the Rings battle, running into each other. And it's like, I mean, it goes on for 6 minutes, just like, this guy's over here fighting this guy's over here shooting this guy's getting stabbed, this guy's getting his air vent cut, Bond's taking out 19 guys. I mean, this is the craziest, and you're thinking, man, it can't get any crazier than this. This is nuts. It's an underwater war. It can't be. And then the sharks come. there are sharks, and you got people stabbing people and then fanning the blood towards them, like get them, it's like freaking sharks coming in and eating people. It's crazy. This is crazy. If you are not going to watch Thunderball, just watch this scene. Just watch the underwater battle. And I'm not even saying like this is crazy in the fact like it's cheesy or not like that. It's not even cheesy. It's just cool. Like, it's not like now where you can do CGI where it's like bam bam, you see people like actually doing freaking jujitsu underwater, or you see them doing Muay Thai underwater. You don't see that like this. No, this is like they're just kind of. Have you ever seen Team American World Police, where the puppets are going, it's like that. They're like in there and they just start tangling up in balls. I love it. I love this. This shot this movie above From Russia with Love for me. This was so great. But it does end eventually, and Bond gets onto the boat. Bond is fighting Largo, but Largo gets the best of him. He's going to shoot Bond, and the Domino comes in, kills him. He kills him. Because one of his henchmen, his top henchman, actually was not okay with her being tortured. You see it in his face when she's being tortured, and he saves her life and brings her out. She kills him, but then something weird happens, and it's one of my pet peeves of the movie, where the new henchmen, Bond and Domino, all jump off the boat while it explodes or whatever, and swim to a lifeboat, but all you see are Domino and Bond. This third henchman he jumped off the boat with him. He should be there, but he's not. He's just not there anymore. He's just disappeared. Is he dead? What happened? But it's one of my pet peeves. He doesn't, but they survive, and there's no kiss moment, but there is a sky hooking moment where the helicopter comes in, Hook grabs him, they fly off, and while they're flying off, the end, Bond will return in You Only Live Twice. And that's the end of this. Thunderball, man. Thunderball. Without that underwater scene, this would have been the worst one. But that underwater scene it's like, if I'm giving this star ratings, it bumps it up a solid 2.5 stars. Maybe a star and a half, I don't know. I mean, as it stands, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10 is all I could give it, but it's a good film. You can tell that Terrence Young directed it, because Terrence Young is all about the slow burn. Whereas our previous director for Goldfinger was all about action. Our previous Guy Hamilton, he does come back later. But Thunderball was good. It could have benefited from some editing, edited it down to less than 2 hours. This was a 2 hours and 10 minutes, but the body count for this is ridiculous. Bond killed 20 people in this movie. He had a love count of 3, so he had 3 women. But I enjoyed it. If you watch it, just watch that freaking underwater scene. Holy crap. 8.5. Good one. Next time we will be doing You Only Live Twice, in which Bond dies. That one's Lewis Gilbert. I think directed by Lewis Gilbert. I think Lewis Gilbert comes back for a few of them. Maybe just one more. I can't remember. Sean Connery. This is Sean Connery's last Bond for a minute. He does do one more Eon Bond. He takes a little break, but this is one of Bond's last. We have our 4 Bond girls, I guess, with mainly Asian Bond girls, because this one takes place in Asia. And Bond has to try not to. He has some very just perverted things he says in this one. He has some lines that are kind of And You Only Live Twice. Really, the big bad in this one is Blofeld. So here it is. We also get a new Bond car. And awesomely, Nancy Sinatra does the theme song. But that's next time. I'll probably watch that tonight. I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow is actually Valentine's Day, so I'll do it before me and the wifey go out. All right, I'm gonna dress up all nice. She's gonna dress up all nice. That's how we do it. Got UFC on here. Can get off here and do some editing and watch UFC at the same time. But hopefully you will join me for the next one for You Only Live Twice. Thank you for watching. It's very cool.